I made myself wait at the stop till the school bus was finally out of sight. Then I nipped back home. Dad's car had gone, which was good, and a big banana-coloured one was parked in its place. Good again. Mum's a physiotherapist and sees patients at home, in her and Dad's bedroom. She must have had an early appointment this morning, which meant she'd be occupied upstairs, at the front of the house. I could safely slip round the side and down the garden without being seen. The fence between our garden and Bogsy's comes to an end before it gets to the sheds. Way back, it was put up by Don, and I think he must have run out of wood. When we lived in our old house, and Don and Maisie were next door, we never minded the gap. If Don was digging in their garden and he saw me in ours, he'd sometimes come through to give me a stripy snail shell or an interesting bit of old china. "Alex," he'd say, "here's a thing. You don't see a thing like this every day." Actually, thinking about it, and knowing how much digging he did, he probably did, but I was always grateful to have whatever it was for my collection. Nowadays, the gap in the fence is filled by our garbage cans, ours and the marshes. They're all in a line, colour-coded green, blue and black, for the different types of trash, and there's only a way through once a week, when some are taken out front for the garbage people to come and empty. I hadn't planned it, but I was lucky. Today was garbage day. The black and the blue had gone, and the green ones stood alone and gappy, like witches' teeth. I crept between them and poked my head out on Bogsy's side. I didn't know what his parents did in the morning. I'd have to be careful not to be seen. But there wasn't anyone in the garden or at any of the windows of the house overlooking it. I ran out, trying to keep low to the ground, and let myself into their shed. I pulled the door shut behind me and took in the scene. And the scene was this. Lit by the shed's one window, set high up in the end wall opposite me, a huge, an astonishing, a magnificent mess. The floor was littered with chewing gum wrappers. The ceiling was stuck with drawing pins and nails from which odd bits of string dangled down. Bogsy had brought in a table and chair, and they, and every other raised surface, some shelves, a toolbox, the top of a big white chest freezer, were covered with paint cans, balls of string, jam jars, paintbrushes, orange peels, apple cores, packets of gum. In among all the stuff on the table, I noticed last week's math homework. He hadn't handed it in, but he'd done it, all the way down to the bottom of the sheet. I'd gotten stuck. It was really hard, and handed mine in with the second half blank. I hadn't known Bogsy was so good at math. There was junk everywhere, and yet there was nothing, so far as I could see, to do with flying. Unless you counted a tattered old kite propped up against the wall behind Bogsy's bike. That wall was remarkable for something else. That wall, despite the gloom of the shed, was a shimmering mass of suns. Bogsy had painted it all kinds of brilliant reds and yellows in a pattern of circles. No, not circles. Each one was a spiral, and a spiral not painted, as you'd expect, from the centre outward, but from the outside in. I could tell because the paint was always thickest round the edge. Bogsy must have loaded his brush, then gone round and round, getting smaller and smaller, tighter and tighter, paler and paler, till the paint ran out, and the circle was too small to see. It was clever, that, the way he'd gotten the two things to happen simultaneously every time, no matter what size the spiral was, big or small, to begin with. At the centre of each, there was nothing. Pop! All gone, as Mum used to say when Timmy was little and had finished his food. Empty air, or you could think of it as the light at the end of a tunnel. One odd one out, though, I noticed. One of the spirals, bizarrely, had fixed at its centre a cardboard tube from a roll of aluminium foil or something. The tube stuck straight out from the wall, and, perhaps because it was just at eye level, I stepped forward, parting a way through the litter with my toe to look through. I'm not sure what I expected to see. If I'd been thinking straight, darkness, nothing...